For ancient navigators, the North Star, also known as Polaris, served as a fixed point in the sky. As the Earth rotates, the star stays in the same position because it sits nearly directly above the North Pole. This allowed navigators to use it as a reference point for direction, latitude, and guidance. The North Star guided the way for countless adventurers over centuries. I'm sharing this with you because self-awareness acts very much in the same way for our lives. It is our Polaris, our guiding light that allows us to correct course when we stray too far from what we truly want. What is self-awareness exactly? Self-awareness is simply the ability to see ourselves clearly, who we are in relation to our values, aspirations, missions in life, strengths, and weaknesses. It's being aware of our reactions. How do we react in our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions? Are you aware of how your face looks right now as you watch this? Are you like kind of blankly staring? Or are you intently listening, taking in everything I say because you have some notion that self-awareness is really important? Are you aware of how others see you with regard to those same aspects and how we fit into the world? What are the benefits of self-awareness? Well, research tells us that those of us who are more self-aware make smarter decisions, are more fulfilled, build stronger relationships, and are more confident and creative. I have personally felt the positive benefits of cultivating more self-awareness. There's still more for me to learn and practice, but by sharing what I've learned, I hope to inspire action in getting you to cultivate what I consider to be foundational to effective self-management. But let me tell you a little bit about two problems that we face. Number one, we lie to ourselves. According to Dr. Tasha Eurich, organizational psychologist, researcher, and New York Times best-selling author, 95% of us think we're self-aware when really the number is closer to 10 to 15%. It's a rare ability, which means most of you watching this right now probably not being honest with yourself. As you can imagine, I wanted to know whether or not I was truly self-aware. After learning about the stats from Dr. Eurich, I'm not gonna lie, I was doubting myself a little bit. So I started to look for anything out there that tests whether you're self-aware or not. Lucky for me, Dr. Eurich developed a quiz, which is linked in the description below. The quiz requires you to answer a set of questions and then send a link to a close family member or a friend who knows you well. They get a separate set of questions that gauges whether or not what you think of yourself is also what the other person thinks of you. I sent it to my wife and left the room while she answered, and I'm happy to report that I'm fully self-aware. And I don't think I'd be able to present this as confidently if I wasn't. Number two, you're doing introspection incorrectly. It would seem like common sense that examining the causes of our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors would improve our self-awareness. But what Dr. Eurich's research found is that people who introspect are less self-aware and report worse job satisfaction and well-being. Why is that the case? Well, it's because you're probably doing it incorrectly. Arguably, some of the most common introspective questions we ask ourselves are, why? Questions like, why do I procrastinate so much? Why didn't I get hired? Why do bad things keep happening to me? And in searching within ourselves, we tend to invent answers that are focused on our fears, our shortcomings, or our insecurities, rather than a rational assessment of our strengths and weaknesses. So let's look into 3 ways we can cultivate our self-awareness. Number 1, writing and reflecting on your values, aspirations, missions in life, your strengths, weaknesses, and documenting your reactions and how you feel in certain situations. All of this can help you be more self-aware, but don't go and try writing about all of this in one sitting. Choose a particular subject like values and spend about 10 minutes writing about what values are important to you. Number 2, external feedback. This is invaluable because other people have a much better chance of seeing us objectively than we can see ourselves. But don't go asking your neighbor after your dog's pooped too much on his lawn. He'll start out by saying, "I'll tell you what I think of you." Seeking advice from trusted sources and asking about what others have noticed about your reactions or what they think with regard to the type of person they see you as. And be sure to phrase it in a way as though you're asking for advice. Like, "Hey, I'm trying to cultivate more self-awareness and could use your advice with regard to any reactions I've had that could be improved or words you would use to describe me." By using the word advice, it gets them to enter a frame of reference of being on your side, trying to help you improve objectively, as opposed to using, say, "Can I get your opinion?" which tends to make people take a step back from you and view you from a place of judgment. Number 3, Dr. Eurich recommends asking what, not why. What she means is, in situations where you're challenged and don't quite know what to do, or you've tried something and it didn't go according to plan, ask what you could do to improve for next time, as opposed to asking questions like, "Why did I fail? Why doesn't he or she like me? Why does this keep happening to me?" By asking productive what questions, it gets you to think more objectively, keep you future focused, and empowers you to act on what you've learned from your situation. I find myself asking way more what questions than why questions when it comes to self-reflection. Here are 3 questions that I tend to ask myself that help me stay productive with whatever it is that I'm working on. Number 1, what can I learn from this? Simple. Number 2, what part of my process can I improve for next time? And number 3, what steps do I need to take to move forward from here? I've linked Tasha Eurich's article below, as well as her book, which is on my reading list for this year. I've provided a link to a quiz you can take, developed by Tasha Eurich and her team, to determine where you fall in this spectrum of self-awareness. I've also provided a link to a Notion template that you can copy if you're interested so you can start cultivating your own self-awareness. That's it for this one, and until next time, keep learning and keep growing.